Good evening, dear brothers and sisters. Our beloved Master has been highlighting the importance of character in the spiritual journey. Today, we have the privilege of delving into some key concepts in character building through the profound wisdom of the Yamas and Niyamas, which are the foundational principles of yoga philosophy. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce our presenter for today, who will illuminate us about the significance and practical applications of the Yamas and Niyamas in our daily lives. As a retired senior medical officer, she has not only served the community through her profession, but has also made significant contributions as a heartfulness trainer, coordinator, and member of the Central Working Committee. Today, we are privileged to hear her presentation. Please join me in welcoming Sister Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Sumitra, and also Brother Kumar. Good evening to everybody. And let us start as usual with centering. Can we just close our eyes for a minute or two and let us center ourselves. Let us connect deep into our hearts let us connect to Master within. Let us also gently connect with everybody who has joined, all hearts. And let us together pray for Master's good health and happiness. May he guide us through this session and may we learn from each other. Thank you. So, if it's okay, we'll continue. I'll just start with a story. There was a young student who went to a yogi and he said, please, teach me Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. So the yogi, his elder, he said, yes, please come. We have to start with Yama, Niyama, Asana, and before you could continue the next one, the student said, no, you don't have to teach me Yama or Niyama. I already learned in kindergarten. Let's go to the more interesting parts, for the further things. I already know that. So the yogi said, oh, you want to be a handicapped yogi, just practicing on 6 limbs instead of 8 limbs. So that is a no-no. And he said, those who stuff themselves, those who starve themselves, those who sleep too much, those who sleep too little, cannot become yogis. Ignorance, fickleness, jealousy, laziness, excessive attachment, they are great enemies to success of yoga practice. Also, you cannot be a yogi if you talk too much. So we have to keep this in mind. That means it is very important that we cannot ignore the first two. We have been saying it for a long time, Yama, Yama. We know that by heart, Yama, Yama, all the 8 steps. So today, I thought we would go more in depth. This is because even for myself, I just realized that, I don't know what is the full depth of this Yama and Niyama. We know those 5 and we know the other 5. But what is the full layers? What is the full depth? And recently, Master has been speaking a lot on character. Not that nobody spoke about it before. I think there's some noise, brother. Not sure who is this. So he has been stressing on this. Particularly, I felt this year it has been coming in many of his speeches in different ways. But when he spoke in aims, he said his speech in aims is the one that really struck me because he was so stressing it so much. He said that one on the spiritual path should not violate any of the yamas and can't afford to ignore the niyamas. Not as an external authority, of course, it is from the internalized values, and these are indicators for our spiritual progress. Lalaji, of course, has been saying spiritual and behavior, spirituality and morality goes together. And in fact, one of his, in a letter to an Abhyasi, I think it's the latest volume 5, he states he feels sorry for those who have not changed habits that they needed to change, not acquired the nature that they needed to have, in spite of being with him for years. It was as if they had never been in his company. He speaks about the importance of akhlaq in that letter. Even this strikes me because we also have been talking about myself. So for those who have, maybe want to know a little bit more, that is why when I started reading, I thought of presenting it. So in the Authentic Yoga book by Deshpande, he also says these principles, they are necessary to understand our existential situation, and they are hard, rock-bottom facts, and they need razor-sharp understanding. So much is in there. They should be practiced effortlessly as breathing. And of course, it goes to say, any contradiction, please meditate. So we are in that way at advantage that we start with meditation, and we are lucky, and we know why we start, so that we could understand the previous steps. And so I felt that this is something very important to look into. Now, yoga, asanas and all, now Master is also stressing on us to, encouraging us to have yoga in centers, and even, of course, in Kanha, it goes on. So the first person, Sri Iyengar, who was credited with bringing the ancient art of yoga to the modern world, he cautioned practice of asanas without the backing of Yama and Niyama is merely acrobatics. Yama and Niyama, they control the yogi's emotions and they keep him in harmony with the fellow men. So in Lalaji's works of volume 2, in volume 2, I'll share the slide now. Would you all tell, is it clear? The thumbs up is clear, is all right? Okay. So Lalaji talks about natural conduct and acquired conduct. He talks about, So excuse me. Yeah. The inclination is, very easy for natural. You just follow whatever is there, whatever has been, we grew up with, society, hereditary, things like that. Whereas acquired conduct, it really needs practice. It requires effort, and it requires training, and there's danger of fall if we are not careful. All other species, we follow the creation of governed by nature. But because humans have free will, we have the freedom to choose, and so we have this waywardness, we have the obstinacy, and also tendency for violence or desires. In the Gita, in chapter 6, Arjuna tells Lord Krishna, he addresses this because he knows how are we to do it. It's always there. The mind is fickle, impetuous, and obstinate. How will I be able to control it? And Lord Krishna answers, he agrees, it's true, but it can be controlled by constant practice and abhyas and non-attachment, vairagya. So the specialty of human life, we are governed by viveka. And so this helps transform, in Master's words, from human to humane. Otherwise, we're still animal to human. So there is a danger of devolution if we are not careful. So here's Patanjali, he gave us the 8 limbs of yoga. He called these the universal vows, the great vows, because they are applicable everywhere. They're not limited by country or time or past, present, future, or any situation. And Swami Vivekananda, he said, Yama and Niyama are for lifelong practice. So we are still students. We are students until the end, and we need to practice it. And masters have said it is the pious duty of all seekers to follow the 2 limbs of Yama and Niyama. So Yamas, Niyamas, and the 10 maxims, they help us toward a divine character. What is the main purpose? The purification of consciousness. So masters have said the path of spirituality, it needs a lot of courage. Remember this always, courage, you need courage. One is you walk alone. I mean, you're not lonely, you have master, but you need alone. And the other thing is you're always working on yourself. Every moment you're trying to refine our lifestyle. It's not easy. Recently, Daji was mentioning in the talk, I think it was in March, that during meditation, it's just like standing in front of a mirror and it'll show everything, how you are, what you are, and what you haven't done, and what you need to do, and it'll keep on reminding you. I think March 28th. So if we are going to go on a spiritual journey, our character must go with us, but it should be of a divine nature so that we live life bravely and beautifully. So we need to know that how to create this field for peace. And why are we not able to be peaceful all the time first? Otherwise, when you're peaceful, it's much easier to behave. All the Yamas, Niyamas. And so we need to realize we need to practice these principles in relationship with others and the world. You can't sit in the corner in the room and meditate and say you're practicing it. It is with interaction, and we develop the qualities of character that allow us to evolve. Why are we not peaceful? We learned about all the subconscious programs that we have. It was there useful before, but it's not, and we keep holding on to these programs and we don't know how to get rid of them. And that's where our heartfulness practice comes in and helps us so much. So these Yamas and Niyamas, they create that feel for peace. I think he was talking, Master, also this year, a lot of it. He was talking about how we get stuck in those, useless habits. He talked about vrittis and then pravrittis and like tendencies, and then it becomes your nature, prakriti, I think, and that leads to we create, our destiny. There are a lot of devoted seekers, he said, which they never gave up these unwanted habits. So they condemned themselves to a kind of hell. If you're torn inside with these things, I think he gave the example of Darth Vader. I remember like maybe the Lord of the Rings, where it was this kind hobbit who suddenly became obsessed with the ring, and he turned into this ugly golem, because he was obsessed with the power of that ring. And he, until the end, he was still having debates in his mind, the positive and the negative that was going on. So we understand that higher consciousness is the heritage of mankind. We know the purpose is to evolve, but to maintain to maintain that trajectory, you need pure consciousness. And to maintain that pure consciousness, we need these 10 qualities of Yama and Niyama. Here is where heartfulness meditation comes in and helps us, because we know the pranahuti illumines from within, and it sends it out to the personality and also behavior. So let's go to Yama. The purpose of embracing truthfulness, non-violence, moderation, honesty, and non-possessiveness is to allow peace to prevail, peace and purity. Why do you need that? You need peace, again, for purification of consciousness. Let's go to Ahimsa. Jaji taught us to teach to think this way. Ahimsa is non-violence, but he says go the other way. Think connection to kindness. So Himsa, of course, is all kinds of anything that hurts somebody else, anything that hurts another human being. I mean, anything, not human being, anything. But we are also non-intentionally killing things. I mean, when we walk or when we do things that we're not talking about that you're having an intention to do violence. Then that destroys your own root. When we do such things, we fail at the very first step itself. And what doesn't mean you can approve of somebody else doing it. You are not doing it, but you cannot send somebody else to do something. That's also on you. So it is this connection to kindness is what we need to remember. It is the starting point of being a human, being caring, compassionate, and very sensitive about others. Kindness for others can only happen if we see ourselves in them. Right, so I've added a little bit on yoga mat here. Any yoga people, any experts, you can always correct you, but a little relation to that about ahimsa. Mainly it is about, of course, you're a teacher, you're not going to force your students to do, all kinds of poses which they're not ready for, or for your own self. It doesn't mean you injure your body, just trying to be doing something perfectly. Remember and accept your body, accept yourself. Do what you can, don't injure yourselves. Next, when our lives are going well, of course, it's very easy to practice ahimsa, kindness, compassion, everything. But what happens when you're in a rage, or somebody's bothering you, especially road rage, or somebody, anywhere, anywhere we can have the trigger for anger. And you sit there and you think, I'm going to do something to this person, I'm going to do something, I'm going to, thinking about how to get revenge or even just knock the person. But here again, Heartfulness tells us pause. Pausing is an action, not a reaction. So pause first, and you don't hit that person or you don't do revenge. Think about it first. Is it, why are these thoughts? Is it my impatience? Is it something to do with me that maybe I need to work on? Those are things that we need to think. And one more thing that we can think about is, especially for kindness and caring, that everybody is trying their best. Everybody is having a hard battle actually, and everyone is looking for love, but they show it in sometimes strange ways. Here, important to cultivate seeds of positive and loving thoughts. Remember about the Sankalpas. So the suggestions, this is where heartfulness comes in to help us and rest in this soul's realm in the meditative state. Now, doesn't mean that we need to take abuse. Remember, all the masters repeated the same story about the snake, where he said you can, I think there's a Swami told the snake, you told the student who had become a snake, I think, or is the snake was the student, I'm not sure, that you can hiss but don't bite. So you don't take abuse, you don't accept abuse. So use your proper discrimination at the same time. Let's go to the next one, Satya. Satya is very interesting. Satya, this thing is to show your genuine, natural self, your authentic self. Master's been, I think, in Babuji's birthday release about how to be authentic. And you move, I think he said, from the persona to the person. You move from persona to the person. Allow for multiple truths, because you cannot deny the truths of others. It is not always your truth. And Satya doesn't mean just speaking the truth. It is neither is it just being blunt about the truth, but it is to be the truth. It is a total commitment to truth. When Mother Sita, she heard about Hanuman's tail being put on fire, so she said, or she prayed that it does not hurt him, and it became the truth, because she was a pure soul, and so it becomes the truth. And so I remember this. So that's always, there was a question, when Master says something, it will be the truth, or when Master says something, it can be the truth. I think it is left up. It comes back to us. Satya, non-distortion, I think is very easy to understand, right? If you go in this direction to a certain place, if for you it's this way, when somebody else is coming from the other way, they said no, it is this way. So both are true. So you have to accept that and don't distort it. And it is achieved propagation of comprehensive truth. And this, it just says truth is contradictory actually in day-to-day life. It's multidimensional, not black and white. But for us, we ask, are we transparent? This is just a symbol of truth. Do we behave the same to all? At home and somewhere else outside? How do you communicate? Do you use different personas for different people? So when our words and our feelings and thoughts are not aligned, we are going to be feeling very uneasy. Now on the mat, it's interesting. I mean, it says, and it's not black and white. It's just that when you pose, you are supposed to remember your inner voice. You're not just posing, and you're trying to discover your self yoga, not about taking selfies. Some people, we've seen posted lots, this pose, that pose, they're putting, but remember why we do it. Right. So in this slide, you just have to remember two things. It is better to be kind than to be right. Better to be kind than to be right. Then, and also when you're in truth, there's a good flow. You are feeling well. That's all in this slide. You have to think about whether it serves the other person, whether it serves everybody has things to gain. Don't tell truth in a very blunt and hurting way. So let's go next to Astia. It's just very interesting for me. In particular, we have no interest in coveting or stealing anything. It belongs, whatever belongs to someone else, we don't want to covet it. And when we go very deep into it, we can see we steal from each other in so many ways, from small to big. Environment is a big thing. Everybody knows climate change. We have stole, maybe the previous generation has stole now from the future generation. And you can see Daji is planting thousands and thousands of trees and greening many places. He's trying to give back what has been lost. He's showing an example to us. In this picture, you can see the internet, of course, very easy. This one, everybody understands. The internet steals from us the time, the thoughts, and especially for youth, instead of being their authentic character, which would be, it would be something very good and something that gives them self-confidence, but they feel they have to follow some kind of TV personality or other personality or maybe their peers, and they don't feel confident enough to be themselves. Now, at the deepest level, it means abandoning the very intent to desire even things like material, talent, relationships also, and we go about it doing it in a very unhealthy way, through force or deceit, or we can do it in so many ways. We just said, right, our minds can go in all kinds of directions if you're not on the true path. So the urge to steal in this way also, it shows some kind of lack within us, and we compare. So we say, I wish I had a voice like that. That kid has this car because, his father's rich. He got the best prize because, of course, somebody was helping him. I know somebody. It's all this kind of talk we have heard and we may have even said. So it is, you're actually, you steal their confidence. That person may be going through so many things we don't know, but we steal away their confidence and their freedom when we do this, and it shows something about yourself. It defines you, it doesn't define them when you say and judge this way. So remember to respect other people's time and talents, time especially. So think about, am I stealing in different ways? So what can we do? We practice abundance. Many times we allow many situations of people to steal, to impact our ability to be happy. So we are stealing even from ourselves. We steal this opportunity to be in the present moment because we are dwelling something that happened, and in that moment you're gone. You cannot be in the state of being at the moment. Live in that moment. You're somewhere else, or somebody else bothers you, or we go even some trips. Sometimes we go, we only wonder what that fellow is sitting and doing, what is that fellow, instead of enjoying the scenery or something like that. So we steal a lot from ourselves. Even when master is there physically, probably I'm guilty also. We look, who's that with master? Why that person, this person? Oh, why he's giving the rose with that? Recently been giving roses, right, to everybody. Why not me? Why she got? And then wasting time thinking about that. And we lose that very precious moments actually. When he's there, it's not about the physical. Everyone knows it's a connection of the heart. And so it's good to think about it. So, and it's good to check our sense of entitlement. Don't think we are entitled for so much and the other person is not. Practice abundance. Remember that everything you need, intelligence, power, strength, love, everything is within us. When we feel connected to Master, it's already, we feel different, feel more, more naturally generous. So Daji would like us here again, when I say, it jumps to be generous. Be generous. Think this way. Be generous. Take to the next level of expression. The principle of giving generously and develop that giving nature. Others will be comforted. We understand that other sister, brother is a sister and brother, like a family to us. When we do A and B, this also helps us point A, point B. On the mat, what is it? So this one we steal sometimes even in the meditation place, or when you go for yoga, somebody will come and bang the thing, somebody will throw the bags, a noise, or somebody needs to talk something, or it's important, and they don't keep that reverence for that place, that you're rushing in, and sometimes that's the only time that people can have a bit of peace, and so you are not thinking about that. So we must not steal that. We must not steal the when people are trying to be there in peace and trying to focus. Don't steal that. Right, so be loving. Now, let's go to the next one, brahmacharya. Moderation of senses in all areas. Our senses is anyway stimulated by so many things, everything. I think everybody knows food, clothes, everything. And when we live in the world, yes, we are going to be all the time surrounded by this. We are going to think and feel and do with all the senses, except maybe when you're sleeping. And we are not designed for indulgence because it drags us down. Use the senses for upliftment. Taji says, again, divinize your passion into compassion. Divinize it. So there's a story here that I heard, or read, in Avadutta. He used to stand in the Ganges and in winter and the hot sands in the summer, but he would only sleep on grass. So one day somebody invited him somewhere not to visit, and after that he finished whatever he had to do. Then he started demanding he needs a grass. He needs a grass bed. And so it had to be got after a lot of trouble. So here, self-satisfaction, it makes so much difficulty for the other. So divinize your passion into compassion. On the mat, yeah, there's some power yoga and all that. I do not know much about it. There's beer yoga, there's flying yoga. They feel they should be fatigued after, you must do so much, and then you become like tired after that, and that is not yoga. So the style and approach, we must understand what are we doing, but don't waste energy. Otherwise, it'll be like this, loose cannon flying off somewhere. Now, I just brought this in Lakshman Rekha here. So Master had mentioned in one of his talks, I think it's relevant for this because it says we must know our limits. We know what is Lakshman Rekha, the line that Lakshman has drawn for Mother Sita, not to cross here while he goes and finds his brother. But she was tempted because of emotion and she crossed. And the consequence is that not only she suffered, but the whole characters of Ramayana, they suffered. So sometimes, despite the care, taken not to cross the boundaries given by others for us, we don't have the understanding why they've given it. You don't have that understanding of that person who has drawn the line. Sometimes parents or children, I don't know, husbands and wives draw their lines. There can be so many things, teachers, And why, when we teach masters, also teachers, okay, don't do this, but we don't understand what is in his heart and mind, and we feel, unwittingly, maybe we cross and cause a lot of trouble, not for yourself, it's for everybody else also. So follow conventions, follow ethical, moral standards. Now, women should be protected, and they should protect themselves. There is a story by Lalaji. He talks about Hazrat Muhammad Sahib, where he received that message from the Prophet, I think, and he says that there should be some distance between men and women, and he announced it, and everyone was following. But one day he went home, and then he was shocked to find a man with his wife, and said, "Bibi, didn't you hear what I taught and told you?" And she said, yes, I am, but this man is blind. This man is blind. But he said sharply to her, "But you are not blind." So these are things we need to keep in mind. Yeah? Even as a woman, we need to keep in mind. And Lalaji has even advised very nicely in the chapter. He said, when we are in satsang, even we can pray, ladies, my sisters can pray that let this relationship of brothers and sisters be maintained. Or as mother and son, it is older and younger, or father and daughter. Let this thing make that thought when you're in a group, even at satsang it is. Right. So once you reach such a high level like our masters, they have such a light footprint on earth. They don't disturb anyone, they don't disturb nature, because they use all resources so wisely according to need alone, not according to wishes or desires. This includes sexual energy, but it's not limited to it. So when we develop that constant inner connection to our center, our attitude shifts from sensuality to sensitivity. You start retaining that subtle energy, and that is available for your spiritual goals. So we need to ask, what footprint will you and I leave behind? Right, so let's go to aparigraha. This yama, non-possessiveness, is not about renouncing material acquisitiveness. It also means that even when we live in the world and we have these possessions, we are not so attached to them that we'll be so affected that they are there or not there. That anxiety and attachment is the one that is an obstacle to our progress. Here you can see meditation on point A also helps because it cultivates this feeling of family. And aparigraha, you can think this way, offers freedom. How it is for non-possessive offer freedom, because you can have the freedom to work and to do whatever you love, or without worrying about the outcome. The freedom is not there. It's there because you don't rely on possessions, material possessions to bring us happiness. And it also allows us to take a step back and understand where we are coming from. We learn and we are interested about our self. That is the cycle of life. If you're not obsessed with all these positions, you can have the freedom to step back and understand and question where am I, what am I, the soul, and until right to the merging, you can have that freedom. Otherwise, you're always thinking, what is happening to my property and stuff like that. So how do we practice? If you keep on thinking what is fair and not fair, it's so exhausting because life is not fair. But we already know, we already been, we come here with some skaras and we need to go through that. And more importantly, your mind is a bit free. Instead of thinking of how to hoard and how to keep for yourself and family, your mind is free to go on more subtle things. This is the freedom that we get. So when I let go of what I am, I might become what I become what I might be. Here, let go, downsize, declutter so that you're free, and be generous. This is Master's take. Be generous, donate, volunteer, share with gratitude. On the yoga mat, this one. So what is that? What is apariga for that? We should observe that, you can do this position very well, and so you're so attached to it, you like it so much. Or are you having a sense of direction and keep on going and keep focused? All right, so we go on to the next one. I like this one. Is whenever we are too particular and about things, and something that's not necessary, that's where the sorrow enters into us, because we are too particular. We are not necessary even, but we go on after that. So what we try to possesses us, and it is ignorance and selfish attitude that makes us think that we have we have special preferences, we have a right to aversions. And so we see, when you're open, you live unconditional way, unconditional love, then everything can come and go. It says all the concepts, things, people enter, they exist and they exit, and you didn't create any dependency or bondage with you. So in order to do that also, we need to self-care. We need to nourish ourselves so that you are feeling strong and you are independent and you are able to give the freedom for both sides. In your family, it's the same thing with attachment, same thing. So you need to have self-care. It's very important. A yogi trains his mind not to feel the loss or lack of anything. Look at this picture. If you're more fortunate than others, build a longer table and not a taller fence. In this, there's also a story about Mahatma Gandhi. I think he was in the train platform, and he was a huge crowd. He was getting up on the train, and then his slipper accidentally fell down. So he was thinking, contemplating. Then he did, instead of asking for the slipper, he dropped the other slipper as well. And he thought, at least let that other fellow have two, since one would be useless and neither is one useful for me. He gave both, and he's not somebody having 10 slippers at home. So the thought of the way they think and their consciousness, right? And then finishing this, we can. I just want to sell this because Master says in this, I think Babuji's birthday, he says, face whatever is dark in you. It's very easy to meditate and do yoga, but it's hard to actually practice the niyamas and yamas. So acknowledge your negative qualities, and you overcome them by shining the light. So like here, I like this picture, is very cute. That's your fault, that's your failing. Maybe you like to, I don't know, steal people's things, or whatever, but you invite them there and you look and it's the way this girl is asking Morty, so she's acknowledging it actually, right? So I end this one and we will go on to Niyama. Any questions so far while I just change the slides? Is there anything, any? So we will go on to Niyama. Right. Okay. Niyama, this is
One minute, sister. We have
yes. Question.
uh, we have Sister Manisha. Let's unmute her.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Shanti, in the previous slide, I didn't really understand about that. The
okay.
cute,
The what?
tea.
The
How does it connect?
oh, the tea.
Yeah.
Okay, let me display it again. Okay. Just come on. So I will share that one, that particular slide. Yeah. This one. This one, sister. Sister Manisha, is it this one?
Yes, sister.
Oh, because he asked us to let the persona become the person. So this, what it means is when I say this part, the easy to meditate for 20 minutes or do a difficult yoga pose, and to practice those niyamas and yamas, because it's a practice that you need to to keep up. It's not that we read and we're done. It's a daily thing that we're doing, and it always goes finer and more subtle. So here she is sitting with her dark spot, that dark corner, which she may be not, we don't want to recognize that, okay, we are doing, or we have this certain habit. So this shows that you can sit with your fear, the fear of even being found out that you are like this, that we are maybe hoarding a lot of things. We go to the shop and maybe we are stealing and keeping things. We suppress it, he said. If you write in that, we suppress it and we pretend it's not that. But he said it's better to face it, and we need to surrender ourselves. One thing is to face. If you don't face it, you cannot even ask for help in the prayer. But when we face it, then we can overcome it. Every time we bring it up to the surface and we know, okay, this is it, and I want to work on this. And the main thing is prayer there, where you surrender it to the master. So she is recognizing that this is her fault, her whatever thing that's her pet, maybe darkness she has, maybe she steals. So she's just, okay, you can sit with me, I'm recognizing you, and do you need more tea? So it's a
Oh,
humorous.
so you
That more tea is for the
So Moti is for just for the recognition that it's okay.
Yeah.
I can face you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So come, you need more tea. So that means, okay, I know you're there. And just that, yes, you can face you. And I'm going to recognize you, and you're sitting here with me. So shall we have more tea?
Yeah, very
Like
nice.
that.
Thank you so much for that analogy.
Yeah. Okay. So we will. No, I'm very slow with this. Sorry. Okay.
Any question, dear brother and sisters?
We are 5:53. I think we need to go on. Okay.
You can put in the chat box if you want to ask or raise your hand or ask something before we moving to second.
Right.
Like,
Okay, we are going to Niyama. Won't be so long. Yeah, quite right. Are you all able to see clearly? Are you all okay? Is it all right? So I'll start on Niyama.
Yes, sister, you can start.
All right, this is Niyama. Niyama is quite simple. These are guidelines for navigating the relationship to your own self. And we need to evolve from within in our manners and our lifestyle. So I won't mention this, we can go forward. So Niyama is to be in sync with the highest universal principles. And what are they? They're really purity and simplicity. So their cultivation of noble character through positive duties and inner observances, which are in sync with the highest principles. And it is about self-refinement towards subtler states and molding our living to a higher state to be in tune with our divine nature. And when you're in tune with divine nature, of course, you are going to spread it and into the world around us. So let's start with Saucha. It is the science of maintaining both the body and mind in a pristine condition. Majority of us, we have a very nice outer condition, environment, but we somehow like to accumulate this garbage in our inner environment. And here it just means that sorry, just lost the thing. All right, sorry. Yeah, it means external and internal purification are both necessary. Daji has said, to my heart, the purity is the essence of transformation, inner transformation. Purity is the essence of inner transformation, and purity is akin to God. And he says simplicity and purity these are the divine assets. Now he goes on to describe, in Babuji's innocence and his capacity to love universally and accept it. They were all the result of his purity. And then Babuji has written very clearly that purity weaves our destiny with the ultimate. So what are the qualities that we develop as a result of this purity? It helps us, it helps happiness, it leads to happiness. It's mastery of senses and concentration, and this leads to higher states of being. The simplicity allows us to be aware and we become sensitive and flexible. Since this simplicity and purity, they are processes actually that nature has put in place for us to help us evolve. So how can we practice it? You're well familiar that where attention goes, energy goes. So it depends what are you doing with your energy and attention. Sometimes you're so busy. We all have to work, we all have to do things, but if we're doing it in too much or when we get carried away, TV, phone, friends, and depending on the age, workaholic, then what do we need to come back? We need solitude and silence. Then you get an opportunity for self-discovery and a much needed personal space and time to yourself. It gives you a lot of mental strength and also clarity to work on these qualities. By the way, Shukla Tirth is a retreat center. If you feel you need a time away for yourself, a little break, you're most welcome to contact me. So heartfulness practices, we know already. I won't go into that, cleaning and to improve impressions. And this is such a wonderful way to get rid of all our impurities. Now, purification of the subtle and physical mental energy or essence is important for practicing Saucha. Saucha at home, how are you going to do? Environment is one, of course. Treat your place, a home, and your place of work with reverence. Please watch Marie Kondo shows. I only came to know about it when I read Master's articles, and I watched it also. She teaches how to keep reverence, keep things in order, and also have reverence for your place. And South China diet, remember you are what you eat, and so more of cleaner organic diet. And you drink lots of water. It's a great purifier, but no need to become OCD. Some people will boast about how they don't take rajasic foods and tamasic foods. I think maybe you all will know already what are they. But if they boast, then it's only about ego and nothing else. Instead, Taji says more important is prayer before your diet, before you eat, so that you can eat in reverence. And more important is to give thanks after your meal. Now, let's go to Santosh. Happiness is an attitude. Being unconditionally happy all the time, that is a practice. The elusive blessing of contentment. I was thinking, what is that elusive blessing of contentment? When I saw this picture, it's looking up. There is a blessing of contentment, but the elusiveness. So would you like to just maybe write on the chat, what do you think the elusive blessing of contentment, something that you don't recognize straight away? Why is it elusive? You can think about and share it. Or you want to share something now? It made me think actually. You didn't say, we know the blessing of contentment, but these words elusive, that means something we are missing. What is it that we are not catching straight away? Are there any response? If no response, I'll go on. So when we rely, of course, things external to ourselves, inevitably we are going to bind ourselves to discontentment, and even more because it's just juggling happiness and sadness and loss, and when you get something in love and fear. So I think it is this elusive blessing that we avoid. We avoid that unnecessary, unhelpful experiences that draw us away from the path. That's one. I was thinking whether it is that, or I think this is also good. When I was reading, I came across this. It says from Lalaji's book, where when the mind is content, it develops that spiritual capacity, and it establishes that relationship to God. So the flow which descends now, we know the flow comes up, down. It becomes an invertendo. It goes the other way. And that brings about great change. Then we come to know that heaven is enjoyed in this world and not to be waited for after death. So I think that is the elusive thing that we didn't know, and also that when you're contented, you feel gratitude, and you're not going to search for unnecessary things that get into trouble. Right. So can we close our eyes a little while, all of us? Just a request. Just close your eyes. Just dive to the center of your being. Now just connect to Master again. So when we remember that He has actually brought us into His fold, and He accepts us, and He loves us for as we are, we feel the contentment and bliss we should feel. So at that moment, I think we don't think of anything else except maybe gratitude. Did y'all feel it? Did you feel it was a great blessing when you went in? Did you feel a contentment? Yes, no? Audience is very unresponsive. Or you can always write it later. All right, so contentment does not come from the body or the mind. It comes from the soul. And it can only come from the soul when we dissolve all the layers we dissolve the layers of conditioning. What are these conditions?
Just to update, sister, everyone in the chat saying yes.
Oh, I see. You cannot see it maybe, yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. Right, so yeah, the dissolving the layers of conditioning. This conditioning is we dissolve. How do we dissolve them? What are these conditioning? We want to cling to something, or you don't want something. This is a conditioning. The dualities that Master talks about is, we want the good stuff, and we don't want the bad things. So we cling or we push these kind of things and desires, and we must know that he says that even if you have one desire, I mean, I'm not talking about desire to reach a goal, but other desires, but if they are very intense, then we won't rest until they are fulfilled. So the answer lies in vairagya and appreciation for your true selves. Sometimes, we corner ourselves into unhappiness because we want everything to be perfect. And the worst thing, I don't know about ladies, I mean, we want ourselves to be perfect first. It goes a lot with females, I think. I'm not sure. But we want everything to be perfect. Then only we can allow ourselves to be happy, content. So the truth is that we are going to be, so long we took to come until this, and we still have ways to go. Just accept yourself and do the best you can right now, and just be content. Just accept what we already are. So on the same thing for this yoga mat, make the appreciate yourself for what you are, however far you've come. You can't do this posture this man is doing. I'm not sure what is this posture called also. It's okay. It's okay. Right. So acceptance, this one is a nice slide, I think, because Daji says we learn to accept and love. When we do that, every aspect of our life begins to thrive. In order to do acceptance and love, you have to be present. And when you are present, then you can have this mental flexibility, and you can try to accommodate and slowly redefine our sense of truth, because we ourselves will, need to ask, where are my blind spots that prevents acceptance of somebody else, or even your own self. I know Master has been stressing multiple times. This is another one: acceptance. Be accepting. So we must. There's also this thing about contentment in your face. Since we are on this path, don't forget to always have a smile. At least some people, we have joy, but we cannot know how to show it. But a smile on the face, then that way we slowly also, the atmosphere also will change. So next, let's go to Kriya Yoga. Just means yoga in action. Patanjali has grouped this into three. It is tapas, swadhyaya, and Ishwar Pranidhan. These three go together as Kriya Yoga. It is about the inner awareness and also the choices that define our action in every moment. So these three niyamas, they propel us away from past habitual way of doing things and living into a life lived in present, or we can say towards a choiceless awareness. Let's do tapas. Tapas, Daji, instead of saying discipline, he says, so nice, always opposite. It's a trajectory towards a simple life, an uncomplicated life. So we think, how is that? Because the name of it is austerity and discipline, and it is associated with the awakening of the fire chakra. But he says that this is it is this trajectory. This tapas gives us the way to the simple and uncomplicated life. To understand that ebb and flow of life, simplify your life as to be identical with nature. And we mentioned earlier, when you're simple, you understand, you have awareness, you have sensitivity, and a great flexibility. And so there's a reduction of this flux. And when you practice with a correct attitude and constantly refine by purification and simplification, we move into a very plain and shining state. This is what we want. But it takes a lot of work, and it is a lot of change in priorities, habits, and having to let go. So we are now changing our attention, outside attention, and we are drawing it into a simplicity and purity. I feel also automatism comes under tapas, because it talks of, when you talk about automatism, it's a biological clock, it's a practice you establish. And second, more important automatism, which Taji says, is that learning to recall and be accustomed to that meditative state at any time. And that is also tapas. He said, otherwise, if you don't show it and you don't recall it and you don't send it out, he just recently, I'm not sure this reason, but he said your heart becomes a cemetery for these conditions. And it's there, buried. Right. So in being in tapas, we do this discipline, or we push ourselves just for the amount that we can. We are not going to, it's not about self-torture. We just do it. It means right effort, not more effort, or hurting yourself or forcing yourself. You do it out of passion and courage, bit by bit. Even fasting or yoga or marathons also, you don't push something that you can't do. You build up. And for food, we don't also get too wound up with that. Also, it creates a sort of egoism. I've given up sugar, I've given up salt, I only eat neem leaves, I only eat raw vegetables. So what's happening? The seeker is filled with ideas of what he has left and what he's eating. And the main goal of self-realization, it slowly recedes. So that is about pride, and again, wrong trajectory. Tapas on the mat, do what you can, do not force yourself to do what, and when you do it, connect with the source. Swadhyaya is self-study. This is very nice. Guru turns your attention to spark within, and then starts your practice karma. Then we cultivate devotion to spirit through inquiry, which is jnana. And then we cultivate inquiry into spirit through our devotion, which is bhakti. Now, benefits, we know the benefits of self-study. Patanjali was saying, self-study creates the field where we can experience the divine. So it is a very important aspect of it. But if you introspect with ego, of course, you are not going to, it's not going to work. You have to surrender and invoke help from the higher presence. Why do we do self-learning? It is to be also conscious of our intentions and our actions. Babuji has written in Reality at Dawn that the real Viveka is the state when the man begins to realize his own defects and he feels so repentant for them from the core of his heart. And that is, in self-study, Viveka comes into play. And we also, when you self-study, you know why you're doing things and why we're attached, and and why you suffer later, post things, you always know why you suffered. If you don't do self-study, you're going to repeat the same thing again. Right? So you find the strength and resilience to remain open in doing self-study. The heart is the key to self-study. continuous improvement, prayer, listen to its higher wisdom, study all the spiritual literature. Why? Because it also serves as a reference point for us. And you write your experience in journals. If you cannot write so well, people use any other ways. Music, art, dance, people also use. Right. Okay. On the mat, what is it you're doing? Understand what you're doing. What are your habits? What are your tendencies? A lot of people are doing yoga now, so just added just for interest. And meditation at the end of yoga always helps with self-awareness. Now, last is Ishwar Pranidhan. Up to now, it has always been self-awareness, self-improvement, and purifying consciousness. But now we go from we to thou. Not me, but the Lord. So with Ishvara Pranidhana, we go through life with an expanded vision, that quantum leap. With it comes that carefree willingness to hand over our reins, the reins, to that infinite something bigger. Can we say you let Dharma prevail, maybe, and we simply witness a significant shift in their consciousness. Pranidhan, Master says, it's a void filled with intensity. And if you explore, enlightened beings, he said, you will see that infinite space and stillness. And it is a beautiful state of acceptance of being held, protected, and supported. It's known as Saranagati, where we surrender. I won't read that in Sanskrit because I may not tell it properly, but it just reminds us that, the beads, always Master told, all those, the string is the one that is supporting. So we rest easy. We can relax because the string is holding us. Yeah. But it's hugely challenging, surrendering. And it can only come when you refine yourself, when you studied yourself, when you're purified and refined. Right. So how do you apply the practice? It just requires us to rest in God awareness in everything. Everything we do in a constant osmosis with God, we are doing this. We meet the Lord in our practice with constant remembrance. And when you do this, you are connecting with your being. Whether it's surrendering in a moment of difficulty or even in a moment of joy, surrendering that actions, it simply means to trust the universe a bit more. And we are we understand that we are being loved and protected. If you do that, a great feeling of relaxation. But that also needs work because we still like to have a little hold on the things. And when you relax and let it be, then those obstacles, that freedom, obstacles become opportunities, and you recognize the blessings in adversities. So this is just to show that until you fix it in your heart and mind, address it in our day-to-day work, life, nothing will change in the world. And these words are, I think, lovely words. And it just says that may my actions, thoughts, actions of my own life contribute in some way to the happiness and to that freedom for all, which is Yama, we learned, and Niyama. It is all in there. And Daji has said that to the extent you practice these Yamas and Niyamas, you will go deeper into your practice and the purpose of yoga. We give up many negative traits and tendencies, thorns and bushes from the path. So preparation is the key. Small story, there's this young boy and with his grandfather, he says, the grandfather, clean the bucket, clean the bucket, clean the bucket. He wants to use it. I think the grandchild what for, and he's busy with his phone and doing what. And finally, I think he forces that boy to go and get water from the river and use that bucket. So he takes the bucket and he goes there and he has to give, because the grandpa was already angry. So he takes it and he takes a few trips up and fill the tub, fill the tub, fill the tub. So finally the tub was filled and I said, okay, I finished. So grandpa was quite happy. He said, look at the bucket. He said, the bucket was spotless and clean and the tub was filled. So Master asks us to do many things, many practices, so many things. Sometimes we think we don't understand. Same way this boy is grumbling with to do this, get this bucket and do this, a leaking bucket that also. So finally, it is not about, the success or failure, filling the tub, but it was actually cooperation with the master and creating that deservingness. You cleaned your bucket, he cleaned the bucket here. Here, when we do things, we clean, we follow the Yama and Niyamas. Things, he's trying to get us on that path to become one with to merge. So, and the tub also, if you're not careful, every time you're doing some big mistake, it's just like opening the plug again and all the water comes out. So preparation is the key, even though it's uncomfortable. So practice, practice, practice. Here, this slide is just keep practicing. We need to become what we need to become at Nyama, and what we need to get rid of, only we know. That slide earlier, that little girl with that thing that she knows she has to get rid of. So on this path, because our conscience holds us for smaller and smaller things. If you all realize it, smaller and smaller transgressions, you are uncomfortable. So efforts are needed, and Master gives us so much encouragement, and we should also give it to everyone, to whoever we meet also on this path. Encourage, because we fall sometimes. So many things go on in life, and so practice, and that gets into your lifestyle, and that leads to your destiny. And this one, I just ditto from what Master said. I've observed that whenever I'm connected to Master, everything happens naturally. The heart is lighter, kinder, melting. And he says, follow the heart and cry a little that we have these defects. And you want to become a better human being first. Then there's a possibility of becoming that angel, as he said, or the divine. There's also a recent talk on his journeys, I think earlier this year. And I want to say thank you so much. Most over to Master, because his 90% of his points are from all his literature, all his magazines written in various type of forms. And of course, Lalaji book open only is all about character. And all the recent talks somehow focused a lot on character for this year. And thank you so much for listening. Quite okay. 6:23.
Before we go next, I think Sister Manisha raised hand.
Oh, okay. Yes, sister.
Sister, sorry to interrupt in between your session. Is that okay to ask something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
If I can answer.
Yeah, no, I just want to explore that the thing you have recently talked about, sattvic food, that we should not boast about it, and even the sugar that I have left this. So boasting is different. Is it a different thing than doing something for your health? And if sattvic food
yes,
helps
boasting is different. Boasting is different. So you forget it's about boasting, about announcing, you've done this, you've done that. You do what you need to do quietly. It's not something to boast and to brag about.
Yeah.
And so you want to, yes.
Yes, sorry. Sometimes you want to share or inspire others if you have benefited for something. Maybe if sugar doesn't help you, or stale food, or junk food doesn't help in your own meditation practice and overall health and well-being.
Yeah, that is maybe the tips of we could encourage is maybe we say, isn't it, sattvic food, but it is not first to say you don't take this. I don't take this, so you don't take this. I don't take this, so I'm better than you. That's what I meant about that. It's about boasting, as making the other uncomfortable. Then it's you have done this. If somebody asks you directly, what have you given up? Okay, you're just telling the truth. I've given up this because I feel it is better for my journey. But it's everybody is on their own journey. It is about boasting, about making it very highlighted, as Swami Vivekananda and our master says, don't let spirituality and religion go to kitchens. It's not about that. But Taji says prayer, and he only mainly talks about prayer and after the thanks also to be given. It's highlighted that. But sattvic food. But I don't know, Rajasic food, yes, you do it on your own. This I feel is not good for me. It's good. But if you boast and tell, I'm doing it like this, I'm doing it, talk about it. So it's the Madhavi.
Thank you.
I don't know if I've answered this because this is a sharing. You have to give in your inputs as well, because it's only sharing what I've gone through, picked up rather when I read. Yes, Sister Madhavi, how are you? You're muted, sister.
Hi. Wonderful presentation, sister. Very nice to hear. The main emphasis Daji says is practice is very important. Constant remembrance. These are literally helping us. We can feel it also. So, and this Yama and Niyama, all these all to be done side by side. It helps us in our progress towards the goal. Thanks to the master who is giving us all this. We are all blessed to be in the system. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you, sister.
Master Good Six.
Thank you. Please feel free to give your input, because it's not even yoga. I've said some things and all. But sister, there's some yoga experts here. It's just as a side interest, it's because we are now doing it, and those they are experts and they're also newcomers. So we to remember this Yama and Niyama as we do, because it is important in also yoga practice, and sometimes forgotten, left aside. Yeah, so it is important to keep in mind what it is now that we are taking up centers yoga.
So, many people saying it's a wonderful presentation, lot of love, nicely contained. So, any question?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I was hoping some input.
Kindly share. You can unmute yourself or raise hand. Also can put a good.
Sister Bhavana, are you here? Panchika?
Sister Vanshika should be here, I saw.
If anything offended you on the yoga? Oh, I thought you may step in to say something. I must thank all of you for listening, and I also wanted to get some, maybe you all would share how it means for you all. But it is nice. It is something to learn. Something now that thankful that I know more about it, rather than just saying, yes, I know. We know, like that kindergarten, we know. But what is it? To what extent it goes more and more and more subtle as we grow, or it's more and more subtle things that you get caught, that you cannot, you are supposed to be aware.
I think Sister Vanishika want to talk. Just I cannot find that. Asam, give me. Hello, sister, you can unmute. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sister.
Sister Shanti, it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. It was a great
Thank-
learning from you. Actually,
Thank you.
yoga asanas are incomplete without all the limbs, yama, niyamas, whatever asanas is just a very, very small part of it.
Mm.
It's the minor part of it. But overall, it was a learning from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you also. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
So it's if there's no other questions, are we ending?
So,
Thank you. Everybody, thank you.
yes,
Uh,
yes, it's a
discussing-
wonderful conversation. Actually, should I give to Sister Sumitra to take over?
If you like the slides, anybody wants it, I will forward it to you all.
Okay, we have Sister Sumitra. Okay, sorry.
The Yamas and Niyamas serve as guiding lights, illuminating our path and offering us the tools to cultivate a more harmonious and purposeful life. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to Sister Dr. Shanti for her invaluable insights and profound teachings. May the wisdom shared today continue to resonate within us, inspiring us to live with greater awareness, kindness, and spiritual depth. Thank you all for joining us in this transformative exploration, and thank you, Dr. Shanti, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you also. So we will end here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brother Ramesh.